We're going to take a look at long-run production. Remember, in the long run, both capital and labor are variable inputs. And also remember that Q is a function of both K and L, capital and labor, respectively. We need to look at the isoquant, which shows all of the combinations of the sets of the quantities of capital and labor that produce the same quantity of output/product. Let's take a look at our example. The total product on isoquant 1 is less than the total product on isoquant 2, which is less than the total product on isoquant 3. In other words, as the isoquant moves further away from the origin, there is a greater total product on that isoquant. The total product at point A on isoquant 1 is less than the total product at points B or at point C on isoquant 2. The total product at point B on isoquant 2 equals the total product at point C on isoquant 2. Since they fall on the same isoquant, there is the same total product. The only difference is the quantity of capital is greater at point B, while the quantity of labor is greater on point C. But since they fall on the same isoquant, their total products are equal. And finally, the total product at point D on isoquant 3 is greater than the total product at point B or at point C on isoquant 2. As mentioned before, as the isoquant moves further away from the origin, there is a greater total product along that isoquant. Let's remind ourselves that the constraint for producers is their budget. So let's look at an isocost. An isocost shows all of the combinations of the sets of the quantities of capital and labor that cost the same amount of money. Here's the budget constraint equation. The budget equals price of capital times the quantity of capital plus the price of labor times the quantity of labor. Mathematically, B equals budget equals PK, price of capital, times K, the quantity of capital, plus PL, the price of labor, times the quantity of labor, represented by L. Below we can see the isocost. There are a few points that I'd like to point out. B over PK, which is the vertical axis intercept, represents the maximum quantity of capital that can be used in production, which means no labor is used in production. Conversely, B over PL, or the horizontal axis intercept, is the maximum quantity of labor that can be used in production, which means no capital is used in production. If you look at point A, which falls inside of the isocost, not all of the budget is spent on K, capital, or L, labor, which means that we have savings, and our savings are greater than 0. If we take a look at point B, which falls on the isocost, all of the budget is spent on K, capital, and L, labor, which means we have 0 savings. And point C, which falls outside of the isocost, is unaffordable. Now let's take a look at some shifts and pivots of the isocost. Let's take a look at the first example. From isocost 1 to isocost 2, represented by the blue arrow, the isocost shifts to the left. This represents a decrease in budget. On the other hand, when the isocost shifts from isocost 1 to isocost 3, represented by the red arrow, the isocost shifts to the right. This is an increase in budget. Now let's take a look at the second example. Isocost 1 to isocost 2, represented by the blue arrow. The isocost pivots to the left, which means the price of capital increases while budget and the price of labor stay the same. From isocost 1 to isocost 3, in our example represented by the red arrow, the isocost pivots to the right. The price of labor decreases while budget and price of capital stay the same. In summary, the producer's objective is to maximize total product, or output, but they must consider their constraint, which is their budget. This brings us to equilibrium. We have our isoquant in red and our isocost in blue. The equilibrium point is where the isoquant holds a tangency point with the isocost. You can see the quantity of capital, K star, at equilibrium, and the quantity of labor, L star, at equilibrium. Total product is maximized when the combination of the quantity of capital, K star, and the quantity of labor, L star, is used in production. Now we're going to talk about production again, but we're going to look at it mathematically. Remember that the objective of a producer is to maximize total product, but they must consider their constraint, which is their budget. We can see from the math below that the total product or output is maximized when the marginal product per dollar spent on capital, or MPK over PK, is equal to the marginal product per dollar spent on labor, or MPL over PL. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.